ありがとうございます。あと、GTC プログラムでは、発達段階のアセスメントを受けていると思うんですけれども、あの、そうですね、皆さん、実際にその発達段階が後期の方がたくさんいるっていうデータを見たことあるんですけれども、日本人からしたら、そんなにもうティール段階の人とかもいるのとか、ターコイズのそのコンストラクターウェアの人もいるのってことにびっくりすると思うんですけども、本当に実際にいるんでしょうか？
Yeah, this is a good question, and with GTC in particular, we do people do take a developmental assessment before the program, and they take it after the program, and then we have a longitudinal research process where if you take GTC, you can take the developmental assessment every 2 years, and we track people over time to see how development occurs and how not just how the program impacts development, but how development of this particular cohort of people happens all over time. So there's a research project that goes with that, and that's part of the interest that we have. And part of that interest is really just to understand stage development more. You know, we've worked with this very intimately for 20 years now, and early on we kind of learned that we understood the kind of basics of the theory, but we realized, well, it's one thing to kind of understand how the description of a stage and where you might be, but to really understand, you know, how these express themselves and how human beings show up, and what part of a human experience is this structure stage, as we call it. So there's a lot of learning that we wanted to have that's part of that. And over time, you know, the population that comes into GTC and is in the community has evolved. And there's most of the people who come into GTC that we have small cohorts, which are maybe 14 to 16 people. That is a small group that comes together. And usually the average in that group is somewhere around teal. So you have some earlier people, some later people. And so it's that's kind of where the average is in that group. And we have other programs that we do. I don't know what the averages are in those programs because we don't do that kind of research in them. And yeah, so, you know, it's, you know, I think for GTC and for this kind of work, we've had many people at the orange stage involved with the work, and it's can be very, very helpful and supportive and appropriate for that kind of stage of development. And also that stage of development can have some unique things to offer to the process. And but what's more important than whatever stage you're at is that you bring a kind of humility of learning to the process, a receptivity and a curiosity about yourself and about other people, a certain degree of interpersonal, you know, capacity, you know, because we're in a really intimate learning environment. So we're exploring ourselves together. So, you know, the developmental stage, you know, it's not the most important thing for the learning process and for the developmental process. What's more important is that you have an inspiration to learn, and that you have a humility and a curiosity, and that you come, you know, with a bit of an empty cup.